The Entrepreneur Mindset. Think like a founder, act like a leader, and grow without limits. Written and published by Fearless Audiobook. Introduction. What separates the people who dream from the people who build? It is not luck. It is not timing. It is not even money. It is the mindset. Every entrepreneur begins in the same place, uncertain, unprepared, and often underestimated. But somewhere along the way, one decision changes everything. They stop waiting for permission. They stop thinking like workers and start thinking like owners. They stop asking, what is safe, and begin asking, what is possible? That is where real growth begins. The entrepreneurial journey is not just about starting a business. It is about becoming the kind of person who can create value, solve problems, lead people, and build something that lasts. It is about learning how to see opportunity where others see obstacles, how to stay disciplined when motivation disappears, and how to rise stronger after failure, rejection, and setbacks. In this audiobook, you will discover what it truly means to think like a founder, act like a leader, and grow without limits. You will learn that success is not reserved for the lucky few. It is built by those who choose courage over comfort, responsibility over excuses, and vision over fear. Because the truth is simple. Your next level begins the moment your mindset changes. Chapter 1. The moment you stop thinking like an employee. There is a moment in every entrepreneur's journey that changes everything. It is not the day they register a company, launch a website, or make their first sale. It happens much earlier. It is the moment they stop thinking like an employee and begin thinking like an owner. This transformation has nothing to do with job titles or business cards. It happens in the mind. Most of us grow up believing that success follows a familiar path. Study hard, get good grades, find a secure job, work diligently, and hope that steady effort will eventually lead to financial stability. There is nothing wrong with honest work. Jobs create opportunities, teach valuable skills, and provide experience. But if your thinking never grows beyond earning a paycheck, your potential may remain limited by the amount of time you can sell. Entrepreneurs see the world differently. Instead of asking, how can I earn more money? They ask, how can I create more value? That single shift changes every decision they make. Employees are often rewarded for completing assigned tasks. Entrepreneurs are rewarded for solving meaningful problems. One waits for instructions, the other searches for opportunities. One focuses on today's responsibilities, the other builds for tomorrow. This does not mean entrepreneurs work harder than everyone else. It means they think differently before they act differently. Ownership begins with responsibility. The moment you decide that your future is your responsibility, not your employer's, not the economy's, not your family's, and not luck's, you begin developing an entrepreneurial mindset. Responsibility is empowering because it gives you control. If you believe someone else controls your future, you will spend your life waiting. But if you believe your choices shape your future, every day becomes an opportunity to move forward. Many people spend years blaming circumstances. They blame the market, competition, inflation, technology, or bad timing. While challenges are real, successful founders ask a different question. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? They ask, what can I do about it? That question turns obstacles into possibilities. An entrepreneurial mindset also means becoming comfortable with uncertainty. Employees often seek predictability. They want stable schedules, defined roles, and guaranteed income. Entrepreneurs understand that uncertainty is not the enemy, it is where innovation lives. Every new opportunity begins with uncertainty. Every invention, every successful company, and every breakthrough idea once existed as an uncertain possibility. Those willing to step into that uncertainty often discover opportunities invisible to everyone else. Another important shift is learning to think beyond your own needs. People with an employee mindset naturally focus on what they can receive, a salary, a promotion, or recognition. Founders focus first on what they can contribute. They ask how they can improve someone's life, solve a customer's frustration, or make a process faster, easier, or more enjoyable. Ironically, the more value you create for others, the more value returns to you. Money follows value. This principle explains why some businesses grow rapidly while others struggle. Customers are not simply paying for products, they are paying for solutions, convenience, trust, confidence, and better experiences. The entrepreneur who understands people will always outperform the entrepreneur who only understands products. Ownership also requires initiative. Imagine seeing a problem at work. One person walks past it because it's not my job. Another person takes the initiative to fix it or suggest a better solution. Even before starting a business, that second person is already thinking like a founder. Entrepreneurship is less about owning a company and more about owning your attitude. Every decision you make either strengthens or weakens that mindset. Reading a book instead of wasting an evening. Learning a new skill instead of making excuses. Meeting people who inspire growth instead of settling for negativity. Saving money to invest in your future rather than spending everything today. These small choices may seem insignificant, but over time, they reshape your identity. Eventually, you stop seeing yourself as someone who simply works for opportunities. You become someone who creates them. Of course, this transformation does not happen overnight. There will be moments of doubt. You may question whether you are capable enough, experienced enough, or ready enough. Every entrepreneur has faced those thoughts. The difference is that they refuse to let uncertainty decide their future. They choose action. As you continue through this audiobook, remember that entrepreneurship is not reserved for a special group of extraordinary people. It is a way of thinking that anyone can develop through practice, discipline, and consistent action. Your business may begin with an idea, but your entrepreneurial journey begins with a decision. The decision to take ownership. The decision to create value. The decision to stop waiting for permission and start building the future you want. That is the moment you stop thinking like an employee and the moment you begin thinking like an entrepreneur. Chapter 2. Discovering opportunities where others see problems. Every successful business begins with a problem, not a perfect idea, not a groundbreaking invention, not a $1 million investment. A problem. The greatest entrepreneurs have one thing in common. They train themselves to see opportunities where everyone else sees obstacles. While most people complain about inconvenience, entrepreneurs become curious. They ask a simple question that has created countless successful businesses. How can this be made better? That single question has changed industries, created fortunes, and improved millions of lives. The truth is, opportunities are everywhere. They rarely arrive with flashing lights or obvious signs. More often, they are hidden inside everyday frustrations that most people have learned to accept. Think about your own day. Have you ever waited too long for a service? Struggled to use a confusing app? Wished a product lasted longer or worked better? Felt that a task took far more time than it should? Most people experience these moments and move on. Entrepreneurs pause and pay attention. Instead of seeing inconvenience, they see possibility. This shift begins with observation. Observation is one of the most valuable entrepreneurial skills, yet it is often overlooked. Successful founders become students of human behavior. They watch how people shop, communicate, travel, eat, work, and solve problems. They listen carefully to complaints because complaints often reveal unmet needs. Every complaint is a clue. Every frustration is a potential opportunity. The more carefully you observe the world, the more opportunities you begin to notice. Curiosity is equally important. Children naturally ask hundreds of questions because they want to understand how the world works. As adults, many people stop asking questions and simply accept things as they are. Entrepreneurs never lose that curiosity. They constantly wonder why things work the way they do. They ask why something is expensive, why customers behave in certain ways, why businesses succeed while others disappear, and why a process cannot be made simpler. Curiosity transforms ordinary thinking into innovative thinking. It encourages you to challenge assumptions instead of accepting limitations. One of the biggest mistakes aspiring entrepreneurs make is believing they must invent something completely new. In reality, many successful businesses simply improve what already exists. Sometimes they make products faster. Sometimes they make services easier. Sometimes they make experiences more enjoyable. Small improvements can create enormous value. Consider the story of Airbnb. Its founders were not trying to revolutionize global travel. They simply noticed a practical problem. During a major conference in San Francisco, hotels were fully booked, leaving many visitors without a place to stay. Instead of seeing only inconvenience, they saw an opportunity. They rented out air mattresses in their apartment to travelers who needed affordable accommodation. What started as a temporary solution eventually grew into one of the world's largest hospitality platforms. The opportunity had always existed. Someone simply chose to notice it. This illustrates another important lesson. Opportunities often appear during difficult times. Economic changes, technological advances, shifting lifestyles, and unexpected challenges constantly create new needs. While many people fear change, entrepreneurs understand that change creates demand for new solutions. Every major transformation in society opens doors for those willing to adapt. That is why flexibility is one of the entrepreneur's greatest strengths. Instead of resisting change, they learn from it. Instead of asking, "Why is everything changing?" they ask, "What opportunities does this change create?" Your environment also influences your ability to recognize opportunities. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain without taking action, you may begin believing problems are permanent. But when you spend time with builders, creators, and solution-focused thinkers, your perspective changes. Conversations become filled with ideas instead of excuses. Challenges become puzzles waiting to be solved rather than barriers impossible to overcome. Mindset is contagious. Choose carefully whose thinking influences yours. Another powerful habit is learning directly from customers. Many businesses fail because founders become emotionally attached to their own ideas instead of understanding what people actually need. The market always gives feedback. Customers tell you what they value through their actions, not just their words. Their purchasing decisions, habits, frustrations, and preferences reveal far more than assumptions ever could. The best entrepreneurs spend less time guessing and more time listening. Opportunity grows from understanding people. Remember, entrepreneurship is not about chasing money. It is about creating value. Money is simply the reward for solving meaningful problems consistently. The larger the problem you solve and the more people you help, the greater your potential impact. As your entrepreneurial mindset develops, you will begin noticing opportunities that once seemed invisible. Ordinary conversations will reveal business ideas. Everyday inconveniences will inspire innovation. Problems that once frustrated you will become invitations to create something better. That is the power of entrepreneurial thinking. You stop asking, "Where can I find an opportunity?" Instead, you begin asking, "What problem can I solve today?" Because every great business, every successful founder, and every lasting innovation begins with the courage to look at an ordinary problem and imagine an extraordinary solution. Chapter 3. Courage before confidence. There is a common belief that successful entrepreneurs are naturally confident. We imagine them standing on stages, leading teams, pitching investors, and making bold decisions without hesitation. From the outside, they appear fearless, but appearances can be deceiving. The truth is, confidence is rarely the starting point. More often, it is the reward for taking action. Every entrepreneur has experienced doubt. Every founder has questioned whether their idea would work, whether customers would care, or whether they had what it takes to succeed. The difference is not that they lacked fear. The difference is that they refuse to let fear make their decisions. Courage always comes before confidence. Think back to the first time you learned to ride a bicycle. You probably weren't confident. You may have been nervous about falling. You may have looked at others riding effortlessly and wondered if you could ever do the same. But confidence didn't magically appear before you climbed onto the bicycle. It appeared after you tried, after every wobble, after every fall, after every lesson. Business works exactly the same way. Waiting to feel completely confident before starting is like waiting to know how to swim before getting into the water. It sounds logical, but it keeps you standing safely on the shore while others learn by experience. One of the greatest enemies of entrepreneurship is the illusion of perfect readiness. People often say, "I'll start when I know more. I'll launch when everything is perfect. I'll take the risk when I'm completely confident." But perfection is a moving target. There will always be another course to take, another book to read, another skill to master. Preparation is valuable, but endless preparation can become a sophisticated form of procrastination. Successful entrepreneurs understand that learning accelerates through action. Experience teaches lessons that books never can. Fear itself is not the problem. Fear is natural. Fear tells you that something matters. It reminds you that growth is happening outside your comfort zone. The real danger is allowing fear to become your decision maker. There are many kinds of fear that entrepreneurs face. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism, the fear of losing money, the fear of looking foolish, the fear that someone else is more talented, more experienced, or more qualified. These fears are universal. Even the most accomplished founders have felt them. What separates successful entrepreneurs is not the absence of fear, but the habit of moving forward despite it. Imagine standing at the edge of a dark forest. You cannot see the path ahead. You don't know exactly where each step will lead. If you refuse to move until the entire path becomes visible, you may stand there forever. But something remarkable happens when you take the first step. The path begins to reveal itself, then another step, then another. Life rarely gives complete certainty in advance. It rewards movement. Entrepreneurship follows the same principle. Every action creates new information. Your first customer teaches you something. Your first mistake teaches you something. Your first rejection teaches you something. Every experience increases your understanding and strengthens your confidence. Confidence is built through evidence. Every small success becomes proof that you are capable of handling bigger challenges. This is why small wins matter. Many people underestimate the power of small victories because they are focused only on dramatic breakthroughs. But lasting confidence is built brick by brick. Sending your first business proposal, making your first sales call, creating your first product, posting your first advertisement, speaking to your first customer. Each action may seem insignificant on its own, but together they reshape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to become an entrepreneur. You begin seeing yourself as one. Another important truth is that failure is not the opposite of success. it is part of success. Many people avoid action because they believe failure defines them. Entrepreneurs understand that failure educates them. Every failed product, unsuccessful campaign, disappointing meeting, or rejected idea contains valuable information. Failure answers questions that success never asks. It reveals weaknesses. It exposes assumptions. It forces improvement. Without failure, growth remains limited. Imagine a scientist conducting experiments. If one experiment fails, the scientist doesn't conclude that discovery is impossible. Instead, each failed attempt provides new knowledge that guides the next experiment. Entrepreneurs should adopt the same mindset. Every setback is feedback. Every obstacle is instruction. Resilience grows from this perspective. Resilience is not about pretending setbacks don't hurt. They do. Losing money is painful. Hearing no repeatedly can be discouraging. Watching competitors succeed while you struggle can challenge your confidence. But resilient entrepreneurs understand that emotions are temporary while lessons are permanent. They allow themselves to feel disappointment without allowing disappointment to define their future. Another powerful habit is separating your identity from your results. If a business idea fails, it does not mean you are a failure. If a customer rejects your product, it does not mean you lack potential. Your business is something you build. It is not who you are. When you understand this distinction, rejection becomes easier to handle because it becomes information instead of personal judgment. Remember that every entrepreneur you admire once stood exactly where you are now. They questioned themselves. They hesitated. They worried. They wondered whether anyone would believe in their vision. The difference is that they chose courage anyway. They acted before they felt ready. They learned while moving. They trusted that confidence would follow consistent action, and it did. As you continue your entrepreneurial journey, stop asking yourself whether you are confident enough. Ask yourself a better question. Am I courageous enough to take the next step? Because confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you earn. One decision, one action, one challenge, and one courageous step at a time. Chapter 4. Building something people truly need. Many entrepreneurs begin with the wrong question. They ask, how can I make money? It seems reasonable. After all, every business needs profit to survive. But when profit becomes the starting point instead of the outcome, something important is lost. The better question is this: how can I make someone's life better? That single shift separates businesses that struggle from businesses that thrive. Money follows value. The more meaningful value you create, the more people are willing to support your business. The companies that stand the test of time are not the ones obsessed with making sales. They are the ones obsessed with solving problems. Think about the businesses you trust the most. Chances are you don't return simply because they sell products. You return because they make your life easier, save you time, improve your experience, or help you achieve something important. People rarely buy products. They buy solutions. They buy convenience. They buy confidence. They buy peace of mind. They buy transformation. Understanding this changes everything. Before creating a product or launching a service, successful entrepreneurs spend time understanding people. They become curious about their customers' daily lives. They ask what frustrates them, what excites them, what wastes their time, and what challenges they face. The best founders become excellent listeners. Many businesses fail because their creators fall in love with their own ideas instead of understanding their customers. They assume they know what people want. They spend months or even years building something without asking the people they hope to serve. Then they wonder why nobody buys it. The market is always honest. Customers may compliment your effort, but their purchasing decisions reveal what truly matters. Listening is far more valuable than guessing. Imagine a doctor who prescribes medicine without first asking about the patient's symptoms. Most people would never trust such a doctor. Business works the same way. You cannot solve problems you don't fully understand. This is why empathy is one of the entrepreneur's greatest strengths. Empathy means seeing the world through someone else's eyes. It means understanding not only what people need, but also how they feel. A customer buying a fitness program may not simply want to lose weight. They may want confidence. Someone buying financial education may not simply want more money. They may want security. A parent purchasing educational toys may not simply want entertainment for their child. They may want a brighter future. People often buy emotional outcomes more than physical products. When you understand emotions, you create stronger businesses. One of the greatest examples of customer-focused thinking comes from Steve Jobs. He didn't build products by asking how many features he could add. Instead, he focused on creating technology that felt simple, intuitive, and enjoyable. While competitors competed on technical specifications, Apple focused on the user experience. Customers didn't just buy computers or smartphones, they bought elegance, they bought simplicity. They bought a product that made technology feel less intimidating. That focus on experience transformed an industry. You don't need to invent something revolutionary to create value. Sometimes the greatest innovations come from improving something that already exists. Perhaps a service is too slow. Perhaps a product is difficult to use. Perhaps customers feel ignored after making a purchase. Every weakness in an existing business creates an opportunity for someone willing to do better. Ask yourself, can this process be simpler? Can it be faster? Can it be more affordable? Can it be more enjoyable? Can it make someone's life less stressful? Small improvements often create extraordinary results. Trust is another ingredient that cannot be ignored. In the beginning, customers don't know your business. They don't know whether they can rely on your promises. Trust must be earned. It grows through consistency. Every product you deliver, every email you answer, every promise you keep, every mistake you admit, every customer you treat with respect. These moments quietly shape your reputation. Many entrepreneurs chase rapid growth while overlooking trust, but trust is the foundation upon which lasting businesses are built. A single satisfied customer can become your greatest marketing asset. A disappointed customer can become your greatest lesson. Quality is equally important. In today's world, people have countless choices. If your product or service is average, customers can easily find alternatives. Excellence is no longer optional. It is a competitive advantage. That doesn't mean perfection. Perfection is impossible. But continuous improvement is always possible. Successful entrepreneurs constantly ask how they can improve their products, strengthen customer relationships, and deliver greater value than yesterday. This mindset keeps businesses relevant even as markets change. Another important lesson is patience. Creating something valuable takes time. Many entrepreneurs expect instant success. When sales are slow during the first few months, they become discouraged. But trust, reputation, and loyal customers are not built overnight. Think of planting a tree. You prepare the soil, you plant the seed, you water it consistently. For a long time, there appears to be very little progress. Then one day, growth becomes visible. Businesses grow in much the same way. The invisible work often comes before the visible results. Every conversation with a customer, every improvement to your product, every lesson learned from feedback, every problem solved, these are the roots of future success. Never underestimate the power of serving people exceptionally well. The businesses that endure for decades are rarely built on clever marketing alone. They survive because customers trust them. They return because they receive genuine value. And they recommend them because the experience exceeded expectations. At the heart of entrepreneurship lies a simple truth. People don't owe you their attention. They don't owe you their money. You must earn both. You earn them by making life better for someone else. As your entrepreneurial journey continues, resist the temptation to chase quick profits without creating lasting value. Instead, become obsessed with understanding people. Listen carefully, solve meaningful problems, deliver quality consistently, protect your reputation, improve every day. Because when you build something people truly need, profit is no longer something you chase. It becomes the natural reward for creating value that genuinely changes lives. Chapter 5. Mastering the Discipline of Successful Founders. If there is one quality that quietly separates successful entrepreneurs from those who give up too soon, it is not intelligence. It is not talent, charisma, or even experience. It is discipline. Discipline is the ability to keep moving forward when excitement fades, when results are slow, and when no one is watching. Every entrepreneur starts with motivation. A new idea sparks excitement, the vision of success fuels energy, and the future looks full of possibility. But motivation is emotional, and emotions change. Some days you wake up feeling unstoppable. Other days, doubt replaces enthusiasm, and even the simplest tasks feel overwhelming. If your progress depends entirely on how you feel, your business will move forward only when your emotions cooperate. That is why successful founders rely on discipline instead of motivation. Discipline creates consistency, and consistency creates results. Imagine two people planting seeds. One waters the garden only when inspired. The other waters it every single day, whether the weather is pleasant or not. Months later, the difference becomes obvious. The second gardener enjoys a healthy harvest because small, consistent actions produced lasting growth. Entrepreneurship works the same way. Every email you answer, every customer you serve, every lesson you learn, and every improvement you make becomes another seed planted for the future. One of the greatest challenges entrepreneurs face is managing their time. Unlike traditional jobs, entrepreneurship rarely comes with a fixed schedule. There is no supervisor telling you what to do next. No one checks whether you completed today's most important task. Freedom is exciting, but it also demands responsibility. Without discipline, freedom quickly becomes distraction. Many people confuse being busy with being productive. They spend entire days answering messages, attending unnecessary meetings, or jumping from one task to another, yet accomplish very little. Productive entrepreneurs understand that not every task has equal value. Some activities move the business forward dramatically, while others simply fill the day. Learning to identify the difference is one of the most valuable skills a founder can develop. Each morning presents an opportunity to ask an important question. What is the one task that will make the biggest difference today? Focusing on that priority before everything else prevents small distractions from consuming your energy. As your business grows, countless demands will compete for your attention. Emails will arrive, phones will ring, unexpected problems will appear. While these tasks may feel urgent, they are not always important. Discipline means protecting your focus instead of allowing your focus to be controlled by whatever happens first. Warren Buffett is often admired for his investment success, but one of his greatest strengths is not found in complicated financial strategies. It is found in his discipline. He spends much of his day reading, thinking, and making only a small number of carefully considered decisions. Rather than chasing every opportunity, he patiently waits for the right ones. His success demonstrates an important lesson. Making fewer, better decisions often creates greater results than making many rushed ones. Decision-making itself is a discipline. Every entrepreneur makes hundreds of decisions each week. Some are small, while others shape the future of the business. Poor decisions are often made under pressure, driven by fear or emotion. Disciplined founders learn to pause before reacting. They gather information, consider long-term consequences, and avoid making choices based solely on temporary emotions. Calm thinking almost always produces better outcomes than emotional reactions. Another powerful habit shared by successful founders is protecting their attention. We live in a world designed to distract us. Social media notifications, endless news updates, entertainment, and constant digital interruptions compete for every moment of our focus. Attention has become one of the world's most valuable resources because wherever your attention goes, your progress follows. Entrepreneurs who guard their attention carefully gain an enormous advantage over those who constantly divide it. Building discipline also means developing routines that reduce unnecessary decisions. Many successful entrepreneurs begin their mornings in similar ways. They exercise, read, review their goals, or spend quiet time planning the day ahead. These routines are not magical formulas for success. Their real purpose is to create stability. When positive habits become automatic, less energy is wasted deciding what to do next, leaving more mental space for creative thinking and important business decisions. Of course, discipline does not mean working every hour of every day. Many people mistakenly believe that success requires constant exhaustion. In reality, burnout destroys creativity, weakens judgment, and reduces productivity. Sustainable success depends on balancing focused work with proper rest. A tired mind struggles to solve problems, while a rested mind recognizes opportunities that stress often hides. Taking care of your physical and mental health is not a luxury, it is part of your responsibility as a leader. Discipline also reveals itself during difficult seasons. Every entrepreneur eventually experiences periods when progress feels painfully slow. Sales may decline, projects may fail, customers may disappear. During these moments, the temptation to quit becomes strongest. Yet the founders who ultimately succeed are often those who simply continue showing up. They improve one small thing each day, trusting that consistent effort will eventually produce meaningful results. Think of a sculptor carving a block of stone. The first few strikes of the hammer seem to accomplish nothing. The rock appears unchanged. But each strike weakens the stone beneath the surface until one final blow reveals the masterpiece hidden inside. Success in business often follows the same pattern. The results people admire are usually built upon hundreds of quiet actions that nobody noticed. As you continue developing your entrepreneurial mindset, remember that extraordinary businesses are rarely built through extraordinary moments alone. They are built through ordinary habits repeated with extraordinary consistency. Every focused hour, every thoughtful decision, every promise kept, and every challenge faced with determination shapes the entrepreneur you are becoming. Motivation may inspire you to begin, but it is discipline that will carry you across the finish line. When you learn to trust your habits more than your feelings, you gain something far more powerful than temporary excitement. You gain the ability to make progress regardless of circumstances. And in the world of entrepreneurship, that ability often becomes the greatest competitive advantage of all. Chapter 6. Leading people with vision and purpose. Every successful business eventually reaches a point where one person's effort is no longer enough. In the beginning, many entrepreneurs do everything themselves. They answer customer emails, design products, manage finances, solve problems, market the business, and make every important decision. At first, this level of involvement feels necessary, but as the business grows, something becomes clear. A business cannot grow beyond the capacity of the person running it. This is where leadership begins. Leadership is not about having a title. It is not about being the boss or giving orders. It is about inspiring people to believe in a shared vision and bringing out the best in those around you. Many people confuse management with leadership, but they are not the same. Managers focus on processes, schedules, and tasks. Leaders focus on people. Managers ask, how do we complete this project? Leaders ask, how do we help people grow while accomplishing this mission? Both are important, but leadership is what transforms ordinary teams into extraordinary ones. People rarely give their best because someone tells them to. They give their best when they believe their work has meaning. That is why every great leader begins with vision. A vision is more than a business goal. It is a picture of a better future that people want to help create. Profit may keep a business alive, but purpose gives people a reason to stay committed during difficult times. Think about some of the world's most admired companies. Their employees are not motivated only by salaries. They are motivated because they believe they are contributing to something meaningful. Whether it is improving communication, advancing healthcare, making education more accessible, or creating products that simplify everyday life, a clear purpose creates energy that money alone cannot buy. As an entrepreneur, one of your greatest responsibilities is helping others understand not only what they are doing, but why it matters. When people understand the why, they become more creative, more committed, and more willing to solve problems independently. Communication is the bridge between vision and action. Even the greatest idea loses its power if it cannot be communicated clearly. Successful founders learn to express their thoughts in ways that inspire confidence rather than confusion. They explain goals with clarity, listen with genuine attention, and encourage open conversations where people feel safe sharing ideas. One of the most overlooked leadership skills is listening. Many believe leaders must always have the right answers. In reality, great leaders ask thoughtful questions and listen carefully to the responses. They understand that valuable ideas can come from anyone, regardless of position or experience. Listening communicates respect, and people who feel respected are more likely to contribute their best work. Leadership also requires trust. Without trust, even the most talented team will struggle. People become afraid to share ideas. They hide mistakes. They avoid taking initiative because they fear criticism. Trust creates the opposite environment. It encourages honesty. It promotes creativity. It allows people to take responsible risks without fearing punishment for every mistake. Trust is not built through speeches. It is built through consistent actions. Keeping promises, admitting mistakes, giving credit to others, treating everyone with fairness and respect. These simple actions slowly build a culture where people feel valued. Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, understood this principle well. While many companies focused only on customers, Schultz believed that caring for employees was equally important. He introduced benefits that were uncommon at the time, invested in employee development, and worked to create a workplace where people felt respected. His belief was simple. When employees feel valued, they naturally create better experiences for customers. His leadership reminds us that businesses grow stronger when people grow stronger. Another important responsibility of leadership is developing others. Weak leaders try to become the smartest person in every room. Strong leaders help others become smarter. They share knowledge. They mentor. They encourage learning. They celebrate progress. Their goal is not to create followers who depend on them. Their goal is to create future leaders. This mindset changes everything. Imagine planting a tree. If you care only about today's shade, your impact remains small. But if you plant seeds that grow into an entire forest, your influence continues long after you are gone. Leadership works the same way. The greatest entrepreneurs multiply their impact by helping others reach their potential. Delegation is another skill many founders struggle to master. At first, doing everything yourself feels efficient. You know exactly how you want things done. You worry that others may not meet your standards, but refusing to delegate eventually becomes a limitation. Your business cannot expand if every decision depends on you. Delegation is not about avoiding work. It is about empowering others to contribute. It allows entrepreneurs to focus on strategy, innovation, and long-term growth while trusting capable people with important responsibilities. Of course, delegation requires patience. People may not perform perfectly at first. Mistakes will happen. but every mistake becomes an opportunity for learning. Teaching someone today often saves countless hours tomorrow. Leadership also means making difficult decisions. There will be moments when you must choose between short-term comfort and long-term success. You may need to end partnerships that no longer align with your values, make unpopular decisions that protect the future of the business, or say no to opportunities that distract from your mission. These moments test your character. True leaders do not make decisions based solely on popularity. They make decisions based on principles. Integrity is one of the most valuable qualities a leader can possess. People may forgive mistakes. They rarely forgive dishonesty. When your actions consistently match your words, trust deepens. Your team gains confidence because they know what you stand for, even during uncertain times. As your business grows, culture becomes increasingly important. Culture is not created by slogans written on office walls. It is created by daily behavior. It is reflected in how problems are solved, how customers are treated, how conflicts are handled, and how success is celebrated. Every action taken by a leader silently teaches others what is acceptable. If leaders remain calm during challenges, others learn resilience. If leaders treat people with respect, respect spreads throughout the organization. If leaders take responsibility for mistakes instead of assigning blame, accountability becomes part of the culture. Your behavior becomes your company's example. Perhaps the greatest lesson about leadership is this: people do not remember every instruction you gave or every meeting you held. They remember how you made them feel. They remember whether you believed in them when they doubted themselves. They remember whether you listened when they had ideas. They remember whether you encouraged them to grow instead of merely demanding results. That is the kind of leadership people never forget. As you continue your entrepreneurial journey, remember that building a successful business is never just about products, profits, or strategies. It is about people. When your vision inspires others, when your communication creates clarity, when your integrity builds trust, and when your leadership helps others become their best, your business becomes far more than a company. It becomes a place where people work with purpose, grow with confidence, and accomplish far more together than they ever could alone. And that is the true mark of a founder who has learned not only how to build a business, but how to lead one. Chapter 7. Turning setbacks into stepping stones. Every entrepreneur dreams of success, but few realize that success is rarely a straight path. We often admire thriving companies, influential founders, and remarkable achievements without seeing the countless setbacks that came before them. We see the destination, but overlook the difficult journey. The truth is that every successful entrepreneur has experienced moments when everything seemed to be falling apart. Projects failed, customers disappeared, investments were lost, plans collapsed. Yet these moments did not define their future. Instead, they became the very experiences that shaped their greatest strengths. Failure has an unfair reputation. Society often treats it as something to avoid at all costs, as if making a mistake somehow proves a lack of intelligence or ability. From an early age, many people are taught to fear failure rather than learn from it. We become so concerned about making the wrong decision that we avoid making any decision at all. Ironically, this fear becomes a much greater obstacle than failure itself. Entrepreneurs understand something different. They recognize that failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the process of achieving it. Every mistake provides information. Every setback reveals a weakness that can be corrected. Every obstacle forces new thinking that often leads to better solutions. Failure is painful, but it is also one of life's greatest teachers. Imagine learning to walk as a child. No one succeeds on the first attempt. Every child falls repeatedly, yet no parent concludes that walking is impossible simply because their child stumbled. Falling is accepted as a necessary part of learning. Business follows the same principle. Every setback is simply another step in the learning process. One of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs face is separating business results from personal identity. When a product fails, many people begin believing that they themselves are failures. When customers reject an idea, they assume they are not talented enough. This way of thinking can quietly destroy confidence because it transforms temporary outcomes into permanent self-judgment. Your business is something you build, it is not who you are. This distinction is incredibly important. A failed marketing campaign does not define your intelligence. A financial loss does not determine your worth. A rejected proposal does not erase your potential. These are events, not identities. Once you learn to separate who you are from what happened, setbacks become easier to examine objectively. Instead of asking, "Why am I not good enough?" you begin asking, "What can I improve next time?" That single shift changes everything. Financial setbacks are among the most difficult challenges entrepreneurs experience. Watching savings disappear or investments fail can be emotionally exhausting. During these moments, fear often whispers that giving up would be easier. Some people abandon their dreams after the first financial obstacle because they believe success should happen quickly. However, nearly every enduring business has faced difficult financial seasons. Cash flow problems, unexpected expenses, declining sales, or economic downturns are not unusual. What separates resilient entrepreneurs is their response. Rather than allowing panic to control their decisions, they become calm problem solvers. They reduce unnecessary expenses, seek creative solutions, listen to customer feedback, and adapt their strategies instead of surrendering to discouragement. Adaptability is one of the entrepreneur's greatest advantages. Markets change, technology evolves, customer preferences shift, economic conditions rise and fall. A strategy that worked yesterday may become ineffective tomorrow. Entrepreneurs who refuse to adapt often struggle because they become attached to old methods instead of focusing on current realities. Flexible founders understand that survival belongs not to the strongest business, but to the one most willing to learn and change. Consider how many businesses transformed during unexpected global challenges. Restaurants expanded into delivery services. Retail stores embraced online shopping. Fitness trainers created virtual coaching programs. Companies that adapted quickly discovered opportunities hidden inside difficult circumstances. They did not waste energy wishing the world would return to the way it was. Instead, they asked a better question. How can we serve people under these new conditions? That mindset turned uncertainty into innovation. Another important lesson setbacks teach is humility. Early success can sometimes create overconfidence. Entrepreneurs may begin believing they have all the answers. Then a setback arrives, reminding them that learning never ends. Humility keeps founders curious. It encourages them to seek advice, gather feedback, and remain open to better ideas. The strongest entrepreneurs are lifelong learners. They read widely. They ask questions. They analyze mistakes honestly. They understand that every challenge contains a lesson waiting to be discovered. Resilience grows through repeated experience. It is not a personality trait reserved for a fortunate few. It is a skill developed over time. Each obstacle overcome becomes evidence that future challenges can also be handled. Every difficult season increases emotional strength. Think of resilience as a muscle. Muscles become stronger only when they face resistance. Without challenge, they remain weak. In the same way, entrepreneurs develop resilience by facing uncertainty, disappointment, rejection, and adversity. Every difficult experience stretches their capacity to remain calm, focused, and determined. One of the most powerful habits resilient entrepreneurs develop is controlling what they can control. Many circumstances remain outside your influence. You cannot control economic conditions, competitors' decisions, or unexpected world events. But you can control your attitude, your preparation, your willingness to learn, and the quality of your daily actions. Focusing on what lies within your control reduces unnecessary anxiety. Instead of wasting energy complaining about circumstances, you invest that energy into finding solutions. This shift transforms victims into leaders. Another valuable lesson is the importance of patience. Modern culture celebrates overnight success, but lasting businesses are rarely built overnight. Behind every visible achievement are years of quiet effort, failed experiments, and persistent improvement. Comparing your beginning to someone else's success story often creates unnecessary frustration because you are comparing different stages of different journeys. Your only meaningful comparison is with the person you were yesterday. Have you learned something new? Have you improved a skill? Have you served customers better? Have you become more disciplined? These small improvements accumulate over time in ways that are often invisible until significant progress has already occurred. Support also plays a vital role during difficult seasons. Entrepreneurship can sometimes feel lonely because many decisions must ultimately be made by the founder. Yet, isolation often magnifies discouragement. Building relationships with mentors, trusted advisors, fellow entrepreneurs, or supportive friends provides perspective during challenging times. Sometimes one encouraging conversation is enough to renew determination and reveal solutions that were difficult to see alone. Perhaps the most important lesson setbacks teach is gratitude. It may seem strange to associate gratitude with failure, but difficult experiences often reveal strengths we never knew we possessed. They deepen our appreciation for loyal customers, supportive families, dedicated teams, and opportunities for growth. They remind us that success is not merely measured by profits, but by the person we become throughout the journey. Every setback leaves you standing at a crossroads. One path leads toward self-pity, excuses, and surrender. The other leads toward learning, resilience, and renewed determination. The obstacle itself does not decide your future. Your response does. History consistently proves that remarkable achievements are often built upon remarkable perseverance. The founders we admire today were not successful because life spared them from hardship. They became successful because hardship refined their character rather than destroying it. Every rejection strengthened their resolve. Every mistake sharpened their judgment. Every setback prepared them for greater responsibilities. As you continue your entrepreneurial journey, remember that obstacles are not signs that you're moving in the wrong direction. More often, they are signs that you are growing. Challenges stretch your thinking, deepen your resilience, and prepare you for opportunities you are not yet able to imagine. So when the next setback arrives, and it will, do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead ask, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" That single question transforms failure from an ending into a beginning. Because the entrepreneurs who ultimately succeed are not those who never fall. They are the ones who rise every single time, carrying with them the wisdom, strength, and courage that only adversity can provide. Chapter 8. Scaling Beyond Yourself. Every entrepreneur reaches a moment when hard work is no longer enough. In the beginning, success often comes from doing everything yourself. You answer every customer inquiry, create every product, solve every problem, manage every expense, and make every important decision. Your business reflects your personal effort, and that effort can take you surprisingly far. But eventually, you discover a difficult truth. No matter how talented, determined, or hard-working you are, there are only 24 hours in a day. If your business depends entirely on you, your business has reached its limit. This realization is one of the biggest turning points in an entrepreneur's journey. The mindset that helps you start a business is not always the mindset that helps you grow one. In the early stages, being involved in everything is a strength. As the business expands, trying to control everything becomes a weakness. The founder must gradually transform into a leader and eventually into a builder of systems. Many entrepreneurs struggle with this transition because they believe that no one else can do the work as well as they can. They tell themselves, "It's faster if I do it myself," or "No one understands the business like I do." While these thoughts may contain some truth, they also create an invisible prison. The business begins to revolve around one person. Vacations become impossible. Weekends disappear. Every decision waits for approval. Every problem demands immediate attention. Instead of owning a business, the entrepreneur becomes trapped inside it. True growth begins when you stop asking, "How can I do more?" and start asking, "How can this business accomplish more without depending entirely on me?" That question changes everything. Scaling is not simply about increasing revenue. It is about increasing your ability to create value without increasing your workload at the same pace. It is about building something that can grow beyond your individual capacity. The foundation of scaling is systems. A system is simply a repeatable way of accomplishing a task. Every successful business relies on systems, whether they are written down or not. Think about your favorite restaurant. Customers expect the same quality of food every time they visit. That consistency is possible because recipes, training, preparation, and service all follow reliable systems. Imagine if every employee prepared meals differently every day. Customers would never know what to expect. Consistency would disappear. Businesses succeed because systems create predictable excellence. The same principle applies to every industry. Whether you run a consulting firm, an online store, a manufacturing company, or a technology startup, creating clear processes allows people to perform with confidence. When important knowledge exists only inside your mind, your business remains fragile. When knowledge becomes part of a system, your business becomes stronger. Documenting processes may not feel exciting, but it is one of the most valuable investments you can make. Write down how customers are served. Create checklists for recurring tasks. Develop training materials for new employees. Standardize the steps that produce your best results. Systems reduce confusion. They improve quality. They save time. Most importantly, they allow others to succeed without requiring constant supervision. Another essential step in scaling is delegation. Delegation is often misunderstood. Some people believe it means giving away responsibility. In reality, it means sharing responsibility while maintaining accountability. Many founders resist delegation because they fear mistakes. They worry that customers will be disappointed or standards will decline. But refusing to delegate creates a much larger problem. Growth stops. Think of a relay race. One runner cannot carry the baton across every section of the track. Success depends on trusting teammates to run their part of the race. Business works the same way. Your role is not to do every job forever. Your role is to build a team capable of achieving more together than you ever could alone. Of course, delegation requires patience. The first time someone performs a task, they may not achieve the same results you would. They will ask questions. They may overlook details. They will make mistakes. That is not failure. That is learning. Teaching someone today creates freedom tomorrow. Every hour invested in training, someone else can save hundreds of hours in the future. Ray Kroc understood this principle when he expanded McDonald's. He knew he could never personally manage thousands of restaurants around the world. Instead, he built detailed operating systems that ensured customers would receive a similar experience regardless of location. Clear standards, consistent training, and repeatable processes transformed a small restaurant into one of the world's most recognizable brands. His greatest achievement was not making hamburgers. It was building a system that allowed others to make them consistently. This is the power of scalable thinking. Another critical element of growth is innovation. Many businesses succeed initially and then slowly decline because they become comfortable. They continue using yesterday's methods while the world changes around them. Customers evolve, technology advances, competitors improve, markets shift. Businesses that stop learning eventually stop growing. Innovation does not always require revolutionary inventions. Sometimes it is a small improvement that creates significant value. Perhaps you simplify the customer experience. Perhaps you reduce waiting time. Perhaps you automate repetitive tasks. Perhaps you improve communication after a purchase. Small innovations, repeated consistently, often produce remarkable long-term results. Great entrepreneurs never assume they have finished improving. They constantly ask, how can this become better? This curiosity protects businesses from becoming outdated. Scaling also requires learning to think like a CEO instead of a worker. In the early stages, entrepreneurs spend most of their time completing tasks. As the business grows, their greatest responsibility becomes making decisions. Workers focus on today's responsibilities. CEOs focus on the future. They ask different questions. Where will the business be in 5 years? What opportunities are emerging? What risks should we prepare for? Which investments will create the greatest long-term value? How can we build an organization that continues growing without depending on constant supervision? These questions require time for thinking. Unfortunately, many entrepreneurs become so busy working in their businesses that they never have time to work on them. Strategic thinking cannot happen when every minute is consumed by urgent tasks. That is why successful founders intentionally create space for reflection. Some schedule quiet mornings each week. Others review long-term goals every month. Many regularly step away from daily operations to evaluate whether their actions still align with their vision. Thinking is productive work. Some of the most valuable business decisions are made during moments of reflection rather than moments of activity. As businesses expand, culture becomes increasingly important. Culture is what guides behavior when the founder is not present. If employees understand the company's values, they make better decisions independently. If they know honesty matters, they act with integrity. If customer satisfaction matters, they prioritize service. If continuous learning matters, they seek improvement without being told. Strong culture reduces the need for constant supervision because people understand what the organization stands for. Scaling is impossible without trust. Founders must trust their teams. Teams must trust their leaders. Customers must trust the business. Investors must trust the vision. Trust becomes the invisible force that holds growing organizations together. Without it, growth becomes chaotic. With it, growth becomes sustainable. One of the greatest mistakes entrepreneurs make is believing that bigger automatically means better. Growth without purpose creates unnecessary complexity. Expanding too quickly can weaken quality, overwhelm systems, and exhaust teams. Healthy growth is intentional. It protects the customer experience. It preserves company values. It ensures that every new opportunity strengthens rather than weakens the business. Sometimes saying no becomes just as important as saying yes. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. Some partnerships create distractions. Some products add unnecessary complexity. Some customers are not the right fit. Disciplined entrepreneurs understand that focus is a competitive advantage. By concentrating resources on what truly matters, they create deeper impact instead of scattered effort. As your business grows, remember that success is no longer measured by how many hours you work. It is measured by the value your organization creates. Can customers receive exceptional service without your direct involvement? Can your team solve problems confidently? Can your systems maintain quality consistently? Can your business continue operating even when you step away for a few days? If the answer is yes, you are building something truly scalable. Perhaps the greatest lesson of this chapter is that entrepreneurs should not aim to become indispensable. They should aim to become replaceable in day-to-day operations while remaining irreplaceable in vision. Your greatest contribution is not completing every task. It is creating an environment where excellent work continues whether you are present or not. Think of an architect designing a magnificent building. The architect does not lay every brick. Electricians install wiring. Carpenters build structures. Engineers solve technical challenges. Painters complete the finishing touches. The architect provides the vision, coordinates the work, and ensures every part contributes to the larger design. Entrepreneurship eventually requires the same mindset. Your role evolves from builder to architect, from worker to strategist, from problem solver to opportunity creator. When you embrace this transformation, your business gains the freedom to grow beyond the limits of your own time and energy. And that is the true meaning of scaling beyond yourself. It is not simply building a bigger company. It is building a business strong enough to thrive because of the systems, people, culture, and vision you have created, not because you are working harder than everyone else. That is the moment your business becomes more than your job. It becomes your legacy in motion. Chapter 9: Building Wealth That Creates Freedom. For many people, the word wealth immediately brings one image to mind: money. A large bank account, an expensive house, luxury cars, designer clothes, financial success measured by possessions. But true entrepreneurs eventually discover that wealth is much deeper than money alone. Wealth is freedom. It is the freedom to choose how you spend your time. It is the freedom to work because you want to, not because you have to. It is the freedom to care for your family, invest in your future, support causes you believe in, and make decisions without constant financial fear. Money is simply a tool. Freedom is the destination. This distinction changes the way entrepreneurs think about every financial decision they make. Most people are taught to earn money. Entrepreneurs learn to build wealth. At first, these ideas may sound similar, but they are very different. A person can earn a high income and still struggle financially if every dollar is spent as quickly as it arrives. Another person may earn less, but steadily build assets that continue producing value year after year. Income pays today's bills. Wealth creates tomorrow's opportunities. That is why successful entrepreneurs focus not only on how much they make, but also on what they do with what they make. Every dollar has a purpose. It can be spent, it can be saved, or it can be invested. The choice determines your future. Imagine two entrepreneurs whose businesses each earn the same annual profit. The first immediately upgrades to a larger office, buys expensive furniture, purchases a luxury vehicle, and increases personal spending. The second entrepreneur continues living modestly, reinvests most of the profits into improving the business, hiring talented people, developing better products, and building stronger systems. 5 years later, their lives may look completely different. The first entrepreneur owns impressive possessions but remains dependent on maintaining a high income just to support an expensive lifestyle. The second entrepreneur owns a stronger business capable of generating even greater opportunities. The difference was never income, it was mindset. One consumed, the other invested. This is one of the most important financial lessons an entrepreneur can learn. Your business should become a machine that creates value, not a machine that funds unnecessary spending. One of the foundations of financial freedom is understanding cash flow. Many businesses fail not because they lack customers, but because they run out of cash. Profit may look impressive on paper, but without healthy cash flow, even profitable companies can struggle to survive. Think of cash flow like the circulation of blood through the human body. The heart may be strong, but if blood stops flowing, every part of the body suffers. Business works the same way. Money must continue moving wisely. Income enters, expenses leave. Investments create future growth. Healthy businesses carefully monitor each part of this cycle. Entrepreneurs who ignore cash flow often discover problems too late. Those who pay close attention gain the ability to make thoughtful decisions before small issues become major crises. Another important principle is learning the difference between an expense and an investment. Expenses consume resources. Investments create future value. Education can be an investment. Technology can be an investment. Hiring the right employee can be an investment. Improving customer experience can be an investment. The question is always the same. Will this decision create greater value in the future? If the answer is yes, it may deserve careful consideration. This way of thinking encourages entrepreneurs to focus on long-term growth instead of short-term satisfaction. Patience is one of wealth's greatest allies. We live in a world that celebrates instant gratification. Advertisements encourage immediate purchases. Social media often showcases lifestyles that appear glamorous but reveal little about the financial reality behind them. Entrepreneurs who build lasting wealth learn to delay gratification. They understand that sacrificing small comforts today often creates much greater freedom tomorrow. This principle may not be exciting, but it is incredibly powerful. A seed does not become a tree overnight. It grows slowly. Its roots develop beneath the surface long before anyone notices visible progress. Wealth grows in much the same way. Small, consistent financial decisions compound over time into remarkable results. One wise investment becomes another. One profitable year funds future opportunities. One disciplined habit strengthens another. Eventually, progress accelerates. This is the quiet power of compounding. Compounding is not limited to money. Knowledge compounds. Relationships compound. Skills compound. Trust compounds. Every valuable investment you make today continues producing returns far into the future. Successful entrepreneurs understand this principle and consistently invest in assets that appreciate rather than liabilities that lose value. Another important shift occurs when entrepreneurs stop measuring success by income alone. Instead, they begin measuring ownership. Ownership creates leverage. When you own part of a business, intellectual property, valuable systems, or appreciating assets, those resources continue working whether you are actively present or not. That is the essence of financial freedom. Your money begins working alongside you instead of requiring your constant effort. Of course, building wealth also requires managing risk wisely. Entrepreneurship involves uncertainty, but unnecessary risk is not the same as intelligent risk. Wise founders gather information before making major decisions. They study markets. They understand customers. They calculate possible outcomes. They prepare for setbacks. They avoid gambling with their future simply because an opportunity appears exciting. Courage without wisdom becomes recklessness. Wisdom transforms courage into sustainable success. Generosity is another surprising characteristic shared by many truly wealthy entrepreneurs. People often assume generosity comes after becoming wealthy. In reality, generosity often begins long before financial abundance arrives. Successful entrepreneurs understand that wealth carries responsibility. Businesses create jobs. Products improve lives. Profits provide opportunities to support families, communities, charities, education, and innovation. The greatest entrepreneurs recognize that wealth reaches its highest purpose when it benefits more than its owner. Money gains meaning when it creates positive impact. This perspective changes the emotional relationship with wealth. Money is no longer pursued simply for status. It becomes a tool for service. Perhaps one of the greatest dangers entrepreneurs face is lifestyle inflation. As income increases, spending often increases just as quickly. The larger house, the newer car, the more expensive vacations. Soon, despite earning far more than before, financial pressure remains exactly the same. Freedom quietly disappears beneath growing obligations. Disciplined entrepreneurs avoid this trap. They celebrate success without allowing success to control them. They understand that appearances rarely reflect financial strength. Some of the wealthiest people live surprisingly modest lives because they prioritize ownership over image. Another lesson worth remembering is that financial setbacks are temporary when wisdom remains. Markets rise and fall. Businesses experience difficult seasons. Unexpected expenses appear. Economic conditions change. Entrepreneurs who have built strong financial habits recover more quickly because they prepared before challenges arrived. Emergency reserves, diversified income, careful planning, thoughtful investments. These habits create resilience during uncertain times. Peace of mind becomes one of wealth's greatest rewards. As your entrepreneurial journey continues, ask yourself an important question. What kind of life are you truly trying to build? Is your goal simply to earn more money? Or is your goal to gain the freedom to spend your time according to your values? There is a profound difference. Money alone cannot guarantee happiness. It cannot replace meaningful relationships. It cannot buy integrity. It cannot create purpose. But when managed wisely, it can remove unnecessary burdens, expand opportunities, and allow you to contribute more generously to the lives of others. That is why entrepreneurs build wealth, not to impress strangers, not to collect possessions, but to create freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to create, freedom to serve, freedom to keep learning, growing, and building without fear controlling every decision. As you move forward, remember this simple truth. Income may change your lifestyle. Wealth changes your future. And financial freedom is not built through one extraordinary decision. It is built through hundreds of ordinary decisions made with wisdom, patience, discipline, and a long-term vision. When you consistently choose investment over impulse, ownership over appearance, and value over vanity, you are doing far more than building a profitable business. You are building a life where money becomes your servant instead of your master, and that is one of the greatest achievements any entrepreneur can hope to accomplish. Chapter 10: The Legacy of an Entrepreneur. At the beginning of the entrepreneurial journey, success often has a simple definition. It means making the first sale, landing the first client, leaving a traditional job, seeing your business become profitable. These milestones matter because they represent progress. They remind us that our hard work is paying off. But as entrepreneurs continue to grow, something interesting begins to happen. Their definition of success starts to change. Money remains important, but it is no longer the ultimate goal. Recognition becomes less exciting than purpose. Growth becomes more meaningful than status. The question changes from how much can I earn to what difference can I make? This is where entrepreneurship reaches its highest level. It becomes about legacy. Legacy is not something reserved for famous business leaders or billionaires. Legacy is the impact you leave on people, your community, and the world through the choices you make every day. It is what remains long after the applause fades, the awards gather dust, and the numbers on financial statements are forgotten. Every entrepreneur is building something. The question is not whether you will leave a legacy. The question is what kind of legacy you will leave. Some businesses disappear the moment their founders step away because they were built entirely around one individual. Others continue serving people for decades because they were built on principles, systems, and values that outlive any single person. The difference is intentional leadership. Businesses built only for profit often struggle to survive changing markets because their purpose is too small. Businesses built to solve meaningful problems create lasting relationships with customers, employees, and communities. People remember how a business made them feel. They remember whether they were treated with honesty. They remember whether promises were kept. They remember whether the company genuinely cared. Reputation is one of the most valuable assets an entrepreneur can ever own. Unlike buildings or equipment, reputation cannot be purchased overnight. It is earned slowly through thousands of consistent actions. Every promise you keep strengthens it. Every ethical decision protects it. Every customer you serve with integrity adds another brick to its foundation. Likewise, a single dishonest choice can damage years of hard-earned trust. Integrity is therefore not simply a personal virtue. It is a long-term business strategy. Many entrepreneurs become so focused on reaching the next milestone that they forget to appreciate the journey itself. They postpone happiness until they achieve the next goal, believing satisfaction always lies somewhere in the future. But entrepreneurship is not a finish line. It is a lifelong process of learning, adapting, creating, and serving. If success is always delayed until the next achievement, fulfillment remains permanently out of reach. The entrepreneurs who enjoy lasting satisfaction learn to celebrate progress while continuing to pursue excellence. They recognize that every challenge has shaped them. Every setback has strengthened them. Every victory has humbled them. Growth itself becomes one of life's greatest rewards. Another important part of legacy is the people you influence. A truly successful entrepreneur does more than build products. They build people. Think back to the leaders who changed your life. Chances are they did more than teach technical skills. They believed in you before you believed in yourself. They encouraged you during difficult seasons. They challenged you to think bigger. They helped you discover abilities you never realized you possessed. That is leadership at its finest. When you help someone become more confident, more capable, and more courageous, your influence extends far beyond business. It continues through every decision that person makes in the future. This is how legacy multiplies. The same principle applies within your company. Employees should leave your organization not only with salaries, but with greater knowledge, stronger character, improved confidence, and valuable life skills. Customers should leave with better experiences than they expected. Partners should leave feeling respected. Communities should become stronger because your business exists. When every interaction creates positive value, your influence continues expanding long after individual transactions are forgotten. One remarkable example of this mindset can be seen in entrepreneurs who dedicate themselves to continuous innovation even after achieving financial success. They understand that their responsibility does not end once they become wealthy. Instead, success gives them greater opportunities to solve larger problems, create better solutions, and improve more lives. This perspective transforms business from a personal ambition into a meaningful contribution. Contribution gives success its deepest purpose. Another important lesson is that legacy requires humility. No entrepreneur succeeds alone. Behind every successful founder stands a network of supportive people, family members who offered encouragement, mentors who shared wisdom, employees who worked faithfully, customers who placed their trust in the business, and countless others whose contributions often remain unseen. Gratitude keeps entrepreneurs grounded. It reminds them that success is shared. When leaders acknowledge the efforts of others, they create stronger relationships and inspire greater loyalty. Humility also creates openness to learning. The moment entrepreneurs believe they know everything, growth begins to slow. The world changes constantly. Technology evolves. Customer expectations shift. New challenges appear every year. The entrepreneurs who continue making a lasting impact remain curious throughout their lives. They continue reading, they continue listening, they continue asking questions. Learning never becomes a phase, it becomes a lifestyle. Perhaps one of the greatest gifts entrepreneurs can leave behind is an example. Children watch how parents respond to challenges. Employees observe how leaders behave during difficult times. Communities notice whether businesses choose honesty when dishonesty would be easier. Your actions silently teach people around you every single day. You may never realize how many lives are influenced simply by your example. A founder who treats people with respect encourages others to do the same. A leader who remains calm during uncertainty inspires confidence throughout an organization. An entrepreneur who chooses integrity over quick profits demonstrates that success never requires compromising values. Your example becomes part of your legacy. As businesses mature, many entrepreneurs begin asking an even bigger question. What happens when I'm no longer here? That question is not about fear. It is about stewardship. Great founders prepare others to continue the mission. They build strong leadership teams. They document systems. They create healthy cultures. They ensure that the organization's purpose survives beyond any individual personality. In doing so, they transform businesses into institutions capable of serving future generations. This is one of the greatest accomplishments an entrepreneur can achieve. A company that continues improving lives long after its founder has stepped away. But perhaps the most meaningful legacy is not measured by the size of your company or the value of your assets. It is measured by the lives you touched. Did your business solve real problems? Did your leadership help others grow? Did your decisions create opportunities for families and communities? Did your work make the world, even in some small way, a better place than you found it? These are the questions that truly matter. At the end of every entrepreneurial journey, financial statements tell only part of the story. The rest of the story lives in grateful customers, inspired employees, stronger communities, meaningful relationships, and opportunities created for future generations. That is the wealth no market can take away. As you close this audiobook, remember that entrepreneurship is never just about building a business. It is about building yourself. It is about developing the courage to take risks, the discipline to stay consistent, the wisdom to learn from failure, the humility to keep growing, and the compassion to serve others with excellence. Every chapter of this journey has prepared you for one simple truth. Businesses create income, leadership creates influence, character creates legacy. Years from now, people may not remember the exact products you sold or the revenue your company generated, but they will remember how you treated them. They will remember whether you inspired hope, created opportunity, solved meaningful problems, and led with integrity. That is the legacy of a true entrepreneur. So dream boldly, build wisely, lead humbly, serve generously, keep learning, never stop growing, and never forget that the greatest businesses are not measured only by the profits they earn, but by the lives they change. Because in the end, the true entrepreneur does not simply build a successful company. They build a life of purpose, a culture of excellence, and a legacy that continues to inspire long after they are gone. Congratulations! By reaching the end of this audiobook, you have done more than listen to ideas. You have taken the first step toward transforming the way you think, lead, and build. Remember, entrepreneurship is not reserved for a select few. It is not determined by where you were born, how much money you have, or how many connections you possess. It begins with a decision, the decision to take ownership of your future, create value for others, and keep moving forward even when the path is uncertain. Throughout this journey, you have discovered that success starts with mindset, grows through courage, is strengthened by discipline, and reaches its highest purpose through leadership, service, and lasting impact. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn. Every setback is a lesson in disguise. Every small step you take today brings you closer to the future you imagine. As you move forward, don't wait for the perfect moment, because it may never come. Start with what you have. Use the skills you already possess. Learn what you don't know. Improve a little every day. Progress is built through consistent action, not perfect conditions. Most importantly, never lose sight of why you started. Build businesses that solve real problems. Lead with integrity. Treat people with respect. Create opportunities for others. When your work improves lives, success becomes more than profit. It becomes purpose. The world doesn't need more people waiting for opportunities. It needs more people willing to create them. So think like a founder, act like a leader, grow without limits. Your entrepreneurial journey doesn't begin tomorrow. It begins with the very next decision you make.